When you import a 3D model, in this case an OBJ model that isn't unified, there are ways to edit the 3D faces so you can adjust transparencies, colors, and materials. And we're going to discuss that in this movie. So when you import an OBJ models, the names of the objects will become the layers in the program. And sometimes the CAD modelers do a good job at making sure the different objects have the same names. For example, let's say all the pieces that make up the body should, in a perfect row should be on a layer called body. But it all depends on the modeler and what program they use. In this case, you can see all these HDM layers. These are the names of the individual pieces that make up this model. And that's not very intuitive. So usually the most intuitive way to edit your models is to select the objects that you can see. There's a mode you can turn on called selection cycling. And if you set this to 3, what it'll do is allow you to visually pick objects. So let's say if we pick on the hood, what's happened there is it's intersected. It's showing us the objects that can be selected based on where I picked. And if you hover over, in this case here, this part of the model, and you can see what layer it's on, HDM 0302, you'll see it's now selected. And if you continue through your model here and select the pieces you want to change the color, and it's pretty quick to do this, depending on how many pieces are in the model. So there's your door, and I think you get the idea here. You just keep going through here and you pick the pieces that you want. All right, so what that's done now is in your properties dialog here, under materials, you can select a different material, and there'll be a separate movie talking about materials in particular. But here, if you knew the material that you wanted to apply to that, let's say a different color, you could select it. Or the easiest thing to do is perhaps set it to by layer. And then you could move those objects to a specific layer. So let's say remove it to this layer here called Sketch Vehicles. All right, so now in your layer manager, which you can access, so here you can get to it from here, where you can change the color of, let's say, the vehicles here. Select color. Now let's make it blue. And you can see now that's all those objects on that layer are now blue. Another way to access this is if you go to your draw ribbon, select layer manager. This will show you a bigger view of your layers. So now if we go and look for this layer here, you can see I set that to blue. But here you could also adjust the transparency. So I don't know, just to show you how this works, if I wanted all of those objects to have a transparency of 50, I can apply that here. And now you can see those faces are transparent and I can see through it. That's not what I wanted, so I'm just going to set that back to a transparency of 0. If you wanted to put a specific material on it, you could go to your materials, open up the material browser, and for example, let's just pick, well, just something drastic here, like a wood material, just so you can see what it's going to do. And let's pick this one, click import. So remember, the name of it is called Wood 03. So what you can do now is on that layer for the vehicle, you set it to wood 3, and then you close this, you're going to see now you've got that material applied to those 3D faces. So that is how you can edit the colors and materials applied to 3D faces on an OBJ model that isn't unified.